Today we're going to be going over the goal page. Before we get started, I just want to talk a little bit about the goals. So students who end up qualifying for special education services have identified areas of needs that will be addressed through these IEP goals. Their goals may be academic, speech and language, motor, behavior, or in other areas of need. These goals effectively drive their services and supports that are included in the actual IEP and are offer of FAPE. So the basic framework for writing goals is that one of the first things we need to do is look at a student's baseline. What can they do currently? And these baselines kind of help us start to figure out what do we figure their annual goal measurability is going to be. When we start to create these goals, we want to make sure that it follows a framework that we call SMART, that each of the goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. I will add a little bit more as we get deeper into each part of the goal page. And below this video, I'm going to also add a little bit of verbiage for you guys as sentence starters that could help you create goals. Okay? So the first thing that you're going to see on the page is the goal description. And this is what you're going to tell us specifically, what is this goal going to address? Is it going to be comprehension, skip counting, vocabulary, reciprocal play? And here you have area of need, and this is actually going to be the broader area of need. So for the purpose of our student, Sarah Brown, her goal description is specifically reading comprehension, and the area of need is English language arts. So this part, you don't need to write. This is just letting you know that in the goal description is the specific area as well as the broader area. Okay? The measurable annual goal number. You want to make sure that you're numbering all of the goals for easier tracking. Examples, if your student has 8 goals, you're going to number them 1 through 8. Okay? So as we scroll, you have baseline. And as you can see, we have the how to complete the section and then an example for you. So when you guys start creating your own goals, you do not need to put this section in. It's just a description and explanation for you guys, but you will actually have your own example, well, your own baseline for your student. Okay, so a baseline is really going to be telling us what is the student currently able to do. The baselines provide data as a starting point for each measurable annual goal. So there must be one baseline data point for every measurable annual goal on the child's IEP. The baseline description should not be 0%, should not say goal has not been tried or brand new skill. It should actually have qualitative data in there. And you also cannot use the scores from their academic testing. So if you just gave the Woodcock-Johnson or the Wyatt and maybe they got a standard score of 84 in reading, you can't put the standard score in here because that means that a year from now, when you're providing an update on this goal, then you're going to have to give the test again, which you're not going to be doing. Okay? So for this student, Sarah is currently reading at a 9th grade level independently. And as you can see here, our student Sarah for this video is a 10th grade student. Okay, this is an area of need for her. Right here, you're going to see choose goal. I'm going to click on that so you can see there are a bunch of different goal banks for students. So you can go through here and look at different goals. We have Common Core goals for both math and English, transition goals. So you can use this as a starting point to help you create a goal, but not every single goal is going to be specific to your student. You're going to need to work through that goal and unpack it for them. Okay, I'm going to actually go back because we won't be using one of those goals since we already have one. But this is where you would be writing the annual goal for your student. All right. You will be writing what their annual goal is. You're going to, remember, use that SMART approach and framework to help you start writing these goals. And I also have something as a sentence starter. Again, underneath the video, you're going to be able to see a couple different sentence starters to help you. It is not an exhaustive list, and those are not the only ones that you can use, but just to help you think about some of them. And each goal should directly correlate to the baseline. For example, if my baseline states that a student can add 1 digit by 1 digit 30% of the time, then the goal should correlate and be measured in percentages as well. Okay? So for our student Sarah, we have our annual date by 9/10/2020. Sarah will be, actually, I believe the date might be 2021. So let me adjust that because we wanted a year from the date that you're holding the IEP meeting. Sarah will determine a theme or central idea of a text, analyze in detail its development over the course of the text, and provide an objective, evidence-based summary of the text as measured by curriculum-based assessments, student work samples, or oral assessments, 4 out of 5 trials with 80% accuracy. Okay? So you really want to make sure that your goals are measurable and that you'll be able to, as we get a little bit further, be able to provide progress reports on those as well. Okay? Right here you have purpose of goal. Enables the student to be involved or progress in general curriculum or state standards. This is where you're going to put the Common Core state standards relating to your specific goal. If you're using the goal bank for the Common Core state standards, the goal will, the state standard will auto-populate over here. If you don't, I'll give you a link to look at the Common Core state standards for English language arts and for math at the bottom, and you'll be able to use that to help you find the specific goal standard. All right. This addresses other needs or other educational needs resulting from the disability. If the student requires goals that are not linked to Common Core state standards, but also may include academic standards that are below the student's grade level, then you would check this box. For example, if the student's in 7th grade, but still needs a goal in 4th grade, then you're going to write the appropriate goal, but you're going to make sure to mark this box. But because our student is working on Common Core state standards, then we will go ahead and keep this goal. Linguistically appropriate, okay, this box right here, should be marked on every goal for your student that continues to be identified as an English learner and has not been redesignated as English proficient. So if your student's an EL student, every single goal should have linguistically appropriate checked off. Okay? This box, transition goal, if your goal has to do with the student's transition and it's addressing that area, you want to indicate yes, it is, and then what specific area of transition is it actually pertaining to. But because this, for Sarah, is a reading and language arts school, we will not be checking transition for the student. All right. Persons responsible. Who will actually implement, track, and monitor and report on this goal? For us, right now, the educational specialist will be reporting on our reading comprehension goal. Okay, but if you have a goal, a speech and language goal, maybe the speech and language pathologist is the one that's going to be responsible for it. This should be consistent with the area of need that's being addressed, but sometimes they may overlap. If there's a goal that both the speech and language pathologist and the educational specialist are working on together, then you can write educational specialist and SLP. Okay. Parents are not responsible to implement goals, so please do not add parents to this section. All right. This button, hide objectives. If your student is receiving a modified curriculum that's leading to a certificate of completion and or has been recommended for an alternate testing such as the CAW, then they require objectives, short-term objectives to their goals. If your student does not have this need, then you can click this button and you will hide those short-term objectives. Okay, I will leave them open because it does provide you a little bit of information in here. Okay, these short-term objectives are where you're going to enter where you actually anticipate your students to be by that identified progress reporting period. For example, if the annual goal is to be at 80%, then your short-term goals may be scaffolded at your first short-term objective could be 50%, your second short-term objective could be 60%, and your third could be at 70%, and then your ultimate annual goal would be at 80%. Okay, you may consider other items such as fewer prompts, supports as you progress through those short-term goals. This will vary depending on what your student is capable of doing and the goal that is being proposed for the student and the family. Okay. Right here, we start to get into progress reporting. These are not to be completed the time that you're actually creating the annual goal. These are going to be completed during each of the progress reporting periods. And progress reporting happens when the same timeline as report card periods. So for elementary students, it's on a trimester basis, and secondary is quarterly. So you need to issue progress reports that are to be sent home along with the report cards. And all providers will actually need to do this for their specific goal areas, and the case manager will be responsible for affirming and attesting the progress reports. Okay, we will also have another video in the online handbook that you can refer on how to complete progress reports. Okay. As you scroll down, each of your progress reporting periods are going to be reflective of report card time. So we have one in November, we have one in March, as well as we have one at the end of the school year for June. Notice that there are two sections. There's the summary as well as additional comments. So don't just put no progress made. Have information here regarding the type of progress that they made. Are they, 30% at their goal? And then what kind of comments can you add along with that? And if you look here, there's another button that says Add Progress Reports. If a family doesn't consent to a proposed IEP goal or a proposed section of goals, then you'll actually need to continue to report on the last consented to goals. So let's just say you've hit your third progress reporting, but you need to add another one because the parents still have not signed consent to that IEP. Then you can add a progress report and a new one will pop up. You're going to add the date, and then you're going to also, same thing as you have done previously, add the summary as well as any comments. So if you keep pressing them, additional progress reporting numbers will pop up. We don't need this one, so I'm actually going to go ahead and delete it. And the last part of this goal page is the annual review. So this is going to be consistent with the time that you're holding the IEP, a year from the date that you had initially proposed them. And you're going to write the date. So if we held this IEP September 10th, 2020, then my annual review date would be 9/10/2021. Okay, so we'll be having it on a Friday. And I'm going to indicate whether or not my student's goal was met, either yes or no. And then you're going to add in the information. So when the team meets for that next annual IEP, please be sure to update the overall progress and indicate if the goal has been met by clicking either yes or no, and provide comments this section in regards to what their current level of progress is, correlating to what was needed to master their goal. So let's just say your student's goal was not met, and you have been able to provide where they are, and your team may want to continue this goal the next year. Then the information that you're providing here is the comments as to where they are currently progressing can be your baseline as you look at how you're going to redo this goal next year, if that's something that your team agrees to. All right. We should have another video coming out where we're going to talk about actually creating goals. So check that out when it does pop up on the video library. Okay? Thanks, guys.